I'm just thinking. Give me a second here. Okay, let me pull my head out of my butt real quick and figure out how I'm going to do this. And the tops are still blunted out. Blunted. I said blunt. Well, that looks like absolute dog poop. Crap. So now what I'm going to do is talk. I'm going to talk. That's all I do is talk.
Sorry, bro, but this show's about me.
All right. So last time we left off, I just finished doing all the wheel spacers and all of that stuff, and I was in the end credits. I was installing the rear fender. I was just putting a couple bolts in it just to kind of see where everything's going to sit, and yeah, it needs to come over quite a bit. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to go ahead and remove these bolts, take the fender off, take the struts off, and then we're going to cut this rear fender mount tab off and put on our spacer for spacing the tire to fender. And then once that's done, we are going to, once that's done, we're going to go ahead and shift the fender, position it, make sure it's kind of square, and then we're going to tack it in place here. Make sure everything looks good. Go ahead and probably weld it in there and support it. Not really sure if I like the mounting, this front mounting. I know this was supposed to be strong, but like I just feel like it moved a lot. That's why it initially made the cracks where it did. But I really think the 5/8 rod is going to make a huge difference. But let's go ahead and get this all torn apart. Get the fender mocked up where we want it, tack that in, and then we'll build these. And then we can always go back to the front and change this, reinforce it, maybe even add one more strap here or one over here and the others on the side to keep it kind of from flexing. Maybe that's what we'll do. That sounds like a good idea. So let's go ahead and get this off and we'll go from there. Oh, yeah. Groovy. So what I'm actually going to do first is I'm going to go ahead and put it on the table. I'm going to find center of the fender, and I'm going to go ahead and mark that with a Sharpie. So that way, one, I know where the center of the fender needs to meet up with the center of the tire. Remember, I made that mark in the previous video. And then I also still have the mark here on the frame where the center of the backbone is. So that will also get me the center of the front portion of the fender to the center of the frame, so that way it's not shifted one way or another, or this way or that way. We pretty much have it square. I use a motorcycle chain. With Avon tires, they tend to grow more than like a Metzler. Most Metzler tires through acceleration and speed Metzler tires in the middle will only grow like 1/4 inch. So usually I just get like a 1/4-20 nut and I'll tape it around, or a 1/4 inch OD fuel line and put that around the tire, and then I'll set the fender on there and I go from there. Avons tend to grow a lot more, especially these 230 tires. You really want about 3/4 of an inch. The chain's going to give me a 1 inch, but this fender is also kind of more round for like a Metzler type tire, but Metzler doesn't make a 230 tire, so you have to run the Avon. So with that being said, the Metzler tires are real round, so they got pretty much a nice smooth curve. That's why I prefer the Metzlers when you go to fat tire applications. They seem to turn in the corners better because they roll across that radius a lot better. On a Avon tire, they're more flat on the tops, so it kind of comes in and then kind of gets flat, so the fenders can be kind of flatter. So sometimes if you have an Avon with a Metzler type of fender with a high arc, you're going to see a big gap in the center and real tight on the sides, and that's just something that happens. So a lot of times I like the real rounded fenders with Metzler tires, and I like one that's a little bit more flat looking for the Avon tires because it gives that exact gap all the way across. This one's not going to have it. It's going to be a bigger gap in the center, smaller in the side. So I got to be mindful to that. So I'm going to do 1 inch in the center, so that way I have a little bit more room on the sides, but it's going to grow in the middle at the most. So not too worried about it, but just in case. So usually what I do is I'll measure the inside of the fender, or outside to outside edge. So it's 10 and 7/8. So I'll get half of that. What is that? So 10.875 divided by 2 is going to be 437. What is 437? So that's 5 and 7/16 thanks to my handy dandy calculator. 5 and 7/16. So what I have is I have this, I think it's pretty cool, little scribe thing. So it's got like these little points on them, so you can do insides, outside, whatever. So what I do is basically loosen it up. I find 5 and 7/16, so this needs to go up. Wait, is that 7/16 or is that half? Sorry, I can't see the lines very well. That's 7/8 half. 7/16 is between 3/8 and a half. Right. So 7/16. Now it's set at that height. So now I can just come across the fender. Let me get some spray out fluid. Let's help dry it a little bit faster. Ah! Started popping a wheelie on me. Can you tell that this wasn't straight? You can now. So now we got that where we found. So now we know where center's at. Put this back on the bike. I need to find that mark on the tire is what I need, and have it back to the back. What I'd like to do is, hopefully the fender doesn't go crashing on me. So what I'm going to find is some longer bolts that I can put in the front portion of the, look at that, found it. Primary bolts, they'll work. So I'm just going to put it through these holes. Oh. I can't because it's shifted over, that's right. But the notch in the fender is holding the fender from falling on me. So I think I got an idea. Let me get some clamps on this to clamp the... Okay, let me pull my head out of my butt real quick and figure out how I'm going to do this. Okay, I need to notch this fender a little bit, so let me get that done. Right here where the fender comes over, it's kind of hitting a little bit, so I'm going to notch that out real quick, and we'll put this fender on. All right, got that notch cut in there. Oh yeah. Ah! Left my scrab over here. Or not my scrab, my calipers. Excusez-moi. That's just about good enough, so. So now the big issue is the front mount is like way far away. I re-welded that mount before. I thought I was just going to re-weld that and put it on there. I didn't know that the fender was off until the last episode we figured that out. So guess what we're going to do is I'm going to cut that mount off, build a new mount for the front, and then we'll go from there. Yep, that's what we'll do. All right, let me find some material. So instead of making all new pieces and what do they say, reinventing the wheel, I went with the same setup that I had. What I did is I cut the bracket off of the cross tube behind the seat and cut it off I needed some more height, so when I turned it over, the bolts were at a different length. Basically, I welded it on exactly how it was, but I just shifted it over. Yeah, so I just went ahead and re-welded, cut it off. It was up higher and over to this side a little bit, so I cut it off, pushed it back, re-welded it from the front. I still have to weld it from the back. That's that. I went ahead and cut the bungs that were on this Sissybar, and then I cut the bottom tabs also. Sorry, I kind of got ahead of myself in recording, but went ahead and ground those smooth. So these are the lower ones, so those will get bolted right back in where they were at the bottom. And then these, I'm just going to clean them up, get all of this extra weld stuff off, bolt them back to the fender, and then we're going to start lining up the fender struts. So we'll get them tacked in place, and then I'll start this one. I'll probably shape the end with the point once I figure out where the point needs to be, figure that out, and then start welding that on there. So that's there, and then it'll rotate, get it against this one here, get that one tacked, and then we'll do the center ones with the height on it, and we'll go from there. I should have measured the height on this from the fender. I guess I could just set it here, flat here, and then measure up to see where that's at. But I don't want it sticking straight out. I want it down. Just I don't know. We'll see what looks good. So let me get these ground down a little bit more, so that way the bar will sit flush against it, and then we can weld them up. Alright, cool. So, got these cleaned up. Let me get the bolts so I can get these. I guarantee when I touch that here in a second, I'm going to burn my fingers. Watch. Watch. Boop. I'm going to put my gloves back on. Bottom ones are going to be the ones I don't remember where I put those bolts. Times like these stubby Allen wrenches come in handy. Cool, those are all lined up. Now let's get the top ones done. I don't... So I had some of the bolt protruding outside of the bung holio. So that doesn't have it lined up where I really want it, but let me see if I can make a quick adjustment. Double check. Okay. So this is the right, so we'll put right, R for right. So I don't have any kind of bender that's going to bend anything this nice and round. So these are actually purchased from Paul Yaffe Original, Paul Yaffe's Bagger Nation. He used to do a parts line. I have an old catalog. Maybe tomorrow I'll bring it. It's at the house, I think, in that stash. I have another stash here, but he used to do like parts for choppers and stuff like that, like way back in the day. And I knew he made these, and so I reached out. It's been years, but probably 5-7 years ago, I reached out and told him, "Hey, I need these in 5/8." He's like, "Sure, no problem. Send me an invoice," and I got these in the mail, and they've been sitting in the bag ever since, or in the cellophane ever since. But yes, sir. So that's where these came from. If you're wanting to know. Nice. These will sit exactly the same. So I'm gonna duplicate the marks. Let me just see real quick. All right there. Yep, same places. So I will cut them both at the same place. So let me cut these on my little bandsaw, and I will be right back. So now comes the fun part, making everything look cool. How did these last ones look? Gotcha. Okay, now to hold up. Wait a minute. Okay. Got it now. So I got these kind of pointy looking for the bottoms, and the tops are still blunted out. Blunted. I said blunt. So let me get the TIG welder fired up. Test, test, 1 2 1 2. Whoa! Need to loosen this bottom one up so that way it's kind of free floating a little bit, like I did the one on the other side. Well, that looks like absolute dog poop. Crap. I don't like it. I'll tack this on and show you why I don't like it. Holy crap, this sucks. I don't like it at all. Damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it. Well, crap, that totally throws off the whole design of the bike, of how it used to be. And let me show you what I'm talking about. So, if you look at this one, see how the strut lines up with the frame rail? It's pretty straight. Can you see how that one, the top sticks out more than the bottom? I don't like the way that looks. That looks horrible. So now I got to rethink this whole thing. Dang it. Only thing I can think of to do is to put the strut, have it go through the middle of this piece. Like cut the strut, butt it up, cut it here, butt it up, and then have the piece come just on the other side of it. But I don't know how that's going to look. Because then that would lean this strut to be more flush with the fender, which it would be. I mean, it's straight right on top of the fender. It needs to come right on top of the fender. This one would lean in, which would go okay because of the bow in the frame. Like that. So this one could kind of like really lean in. Decisions, man. Would it be hard to do? Probably not. Do I want to do it? Probably not. Oh, man. Let me cut it. Let's see what happens. Hot. Hot, so hot. Hot. It's better, but it's not the best. No, I got more problems. The damn Fender's sitting down on this side and up on this side. I could put my finger in here and I can't on this side, so I've got something all out of whack. Dang it, man. Oh. Oh, that's what it was. I could barely on both sides. Okay. So I need to put some spacers in there to keep that from happening. Whew, I was like, whoa! What the heck happened? Probably not very smart to have your TIG torch in there while you're doing that. If I do that, and then I take the tack off of the bottom and kick it out just a little bit, so it squares it up, and just get that one square, and then I can make this one look however, because the angle of the frame, it's gonna look off, but this one has to look straight, because with the front part sticking out, it's gonna look horrible. Gotta cut just a tab off of it, just a tad bit off of this, and then that way it'll come right into that mount. Yeah, I'll weld it up and I'll add fill weld and stuff like that, and I'll grind it to try to smooth it in. You'll see that it's a mount, but it'll be, let me see something, 3/16 bolt, or 3/8 bolt. Well, that's still a lot of, it's easily an 1/8 inch all the way around. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to take these bungs off and I'm gonna spin them down to where they're 5/8 inch diameter. So that way they'll come out. This will weld onto it. I'll weld it all around, make it real good, and then I will metal finish it to where you can't see where the bolt comes in. It'd be kind of like tapping the 5/8 round rod, but I would never be able to find the center of that. So instead of tapping it, I'll machine these down to where, and then that way when you look at it, you won't even see anything. Figured it out. Let's machine that down and see how that, if that brings it down where I was hoping it would. Grab some pliers. It's gonna tear up my fingers. My fingers. All right. So what I ended up doing is I had some of the straight sections of the 5/8 and I just went ahead and just drilled and tapped the hole. So that way I didn't have to modify the old bungs that were on here. Very cool, very cool. Let me grab the other one. All right, got the, it's still tacked on. So let's just work with this other one on this side. I know I broke it off. Break me off some. Boy. Oh, there it is. Break me off a piece of that Kit Kat. Or need to cut off just a tad bit more. So let me do that. I'm happy with that. I don't know how I lucked out on that, but I didn't scratch the wheel. Damn it. Whatever. That was a nice tack. So things obviously are not going my way. I don't know if I'm stripping out this bung. I gotta chase the threads on this bolt or what, but it's 9 o'clock. I'm out of here. See y'all tomorrow. Peace.
So what is up? It's been a few days. I don't know if you can tell by my voice, but I think I got COVID this past weekend, shortly after when I left. I think that was on like a Friday. Saturday night, I think I got COVID, and I've been down almost a week. So it's been rough. My eyes hurt. I'm still congested. No more fever. No more feeling like crap. Like my head was going to explode. But anyways, got back, been kind of messing with stuff. I did find out that I did kind of cross-dressed that bolt. No. Whoa. Easy, killer. I did kind of booger up that thread, so I chased it with the tap on the bung, and then I chased the nut with the die. It's all cleaned up and put on there, so kind of have it where I want. Now that I've been kind of looking at it a little bit closer, because I got this one side done, I kind of set this on there. For some reason, I thought this spike didn't hang off the back of the fender, but it actually does. And so do these. These stick out further than I remember that they did. So what I'm going to have to do is put an extension piece on this here to continue it through that bung. And then we're going to kind of shape it so I can start cutting it, and we can start doing that. So, yeah, I think what I'm going to do now is go ahead and tack on. I might add some weld so that this tack doesn't break. Excuse me, still not feeling great. Gonna probably put some weld on there so that way it doesn't move very much, and then I can weld this piece on there so when I cut it, it'll have a nice look to it, and it'll be a little bit more. It's not going to be exact. It's going to be hard to make it exact, but I'm going to try to get it as close as possible because, like I said, I want this bike to. It's my TV show bike. I want it to look like my TV show bike. I'm not building a whole new custom bike. So, let me go ahead and get. I found some little bit of the extra. See how it's already kind of curved. So I'm gonna clean off that little booger there. Kind of get it in line here, and then I will tack it in. Yep, I'll tack it in there, and then I'll come through and I'll cut it kind of flat, and then we'll put this one on and kind of get it ready. Figure out how high I want that, and I'm going to tack on a piece of like a flat bar or maybe even some round stock, so that way when those pieces come across, I know where center is, and then I can make sure I cut it, blend them together, and then I'll just be fill welding, grinding, fill welding, grinding, fill welding, and grinding, and we will get this rear end done. So let me go ahead and get that going. Oh, man. Awesome. Now I'm not as worried about the struts coming loose while I start welding other stuff to it. Yeah, let me grind this booger off and then I'll weld the two together. All right. So I got it tacked on. Now what I'm going to do just to make sure it's in the right radius is I'm going to go ahead and let me grab a... And yes, I'm aware that as soon as I tap this, it's going to fall off. That's how all my tacks seem to be on this channel. You know what? I'm very happy with the way that is. So I'm going to leave it there and I'm going to add some material so that way it does not fall off. No, not really that happy with that. It pulled out a little bit. I think that'll look fine. I don't think anybody in us. Hey, if you see this bike on the street, don't say nothing, all right? Cool. Cool. So much easier when it was on the show and I was in time crunch. Now I have all the time in the world and I can't figure this out. Kind of goes up and then tilts down just a little bit. Yeah. All right, let me get this cut up and start tacking some stuff in place. So I went ahead and cut these and ground them kind of flat so I can kind of get a guesstimate of where they're gonna connect. So now what I'm gonna do is talk. I'm gonna talk. That's all I do is talk. I'm gonna tack the top so that way they're still movable this way. And then I can line them up where I want to, make sure everything's straight, and then fill some gap. So that's a lot of weld. I think I'm going to grind some more on the angle side since they're going to be wider than how I had ground them. All right, let me get my hood and let's tack these. Holding it pretty good with my right hand, so I guess I'm gonna put these tacks in with my left. Let's see how this goes. Ah, that didn't work for crap. That didn't work for shit. Damn it. Now these things are hot. I don't know if it's just because I'm sick or I'm just getting frustrated, but like, I don't even feel like showing anybody what I'm doing. Like, I just want to do it and then show you when I'm done. Like, I'm just... And some jackass is gonna come with this 2 cents. Oh, blah, 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 blah. Fuck off. Whoa. So what I've decided to do, because cutting on that thing, I noticed I was just beating the stuff out of my rims, which is very stupid. Don't do that. I'm just not thinking clearly in this episode, so do not do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and tack in and then weld in, you know, like I did the other side, kind of tack this in and then put some good strong welds on there. That way I know that the chain's clearing. And then I'm going to remove the wheel so I can cut these things and shape them and get them all done. I don't really need the tire or the wheel in it at this point because everything's pretty much centered. As long as I don't pull on it or force anything, we should be pretty square. I'll get everything kind of tacked in, then we'll put the wheel back in, and then I can go around and weld it. That way I can watch for any kind of movement. But right now, instead of just destroying my rims, let's just go ahead and get these tacked in. Like I said, I just wanted to make sure I had clearance between the chain and the strut on this side, because it does have to lean over because of the kick out in the frame. So let's get these tacked on, and then we'll move forward. I mean, it's not a brand new bike, so these wheels have some very hard use and abuse on them. So it's not like I'm working with a customer's brand new wheels and tires. I would never do that with the customer stuff. Do as I say, not as I do, okay? A little bit of welding rod. Of course it's gonna do that. All right, now let me see if I can find a piece of the bent stuff to add on to the end here. Go ahead and get this wheel off. Damn it. Telling you, do not have my head in the game today. That's great. Can't remember the last time I had so much brain fart. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Let's get the other little curved piece put on. Sure, this is just gonna pop the weld. That's what it does. Whoo! Okay, now we got somewhat matching left to right. Like I said, everything's just tacked in place. Oh my god. Getting so frustrated. Not even freaking funny. Not even close to being funny. Completely wrong angle. Like, what in the actual hell, Adam? You knew it! So, after many hours of throwing a tantrum off camera and slinging bars around and all that other stuff, I couldn't get it to tack up on here, and it was this way and that way and this way and this way. So I made a little jig. I've already moved it because I've been rolling, and when I get on a roll, I forget to push play or record, excuse me. So I just kept going. So I went ahead and welded these fully in and kind of ground the tips on them. I'll probably keep massaging these. I welded all of these in so that they're pretty much one piece now. You want to see? So like I said, kind of did a little bit of grinding. That one's really pointy. And this one's not as crazy pointy. That's pretty much how I want it to look. Not so crazy pointy. And then at the top, can see where the bar kind of flows and just goes straight into it. So I'm kind of hiding where the mounting bung is. So you can kind of hardly not really barely see it. Hopefully I have enough room so paint doesn't get damaged, but that's that. And then when it's fully welded up and smoothed out, it'll somewhat look like that. Now what I'm working on, oh, and then I went ahead and got this pretty much welded together. And I got these pieces kind of evenly done. Now, got it sitting pretty much how I wanted it. Pretty damn close to how it was. The only thing is I think it's still too high. So I want to drop it down. So I'm going to take about 1 inch off. I went ahead and put some spray on there and then marked it each side 1 inch. So I'm going to cut these inches off, and then it should be about where it was prior to me making the new one. So, yep, about ready to wrap this bad boy up. I'll probably weld this in. We'll cut this off, weld it in there, and get it pretty close. Yeah, and then we'll have to make some doublers and stuff so that way the fender doesn't crack anymore on any of the spots that I've cut openings. So let's get this cut and go from there. So, of course, I cut 1 inch off each side, and now the bars are too close together and they sit straight on the fender. So here what I'm doing is I'm putting the bar in the press and I'm putting down equal force, and I'm spreading the bar out so that way I make sure I control left to right, make sure that they're both bending equally and they're going to look symmetrical. And now they line up with the lower struts. So there we have it. So the gaps are nice and tight, both sides. For as much frustration I have with this freaking project, I'm good with it. So I'm gonna go ahead and weld this in a little bit and do some grinding to kind of spike that out a little bit, and we'll be done. I think I'm happy with it. Hope so. Now that's a wrap. I think it came out great. I'm happy with it. Check it out. So I went ahead and got that whole field, but I have some sort of porosity in there, so I'm gonna have to dig that out, refill, weld it, and then grind it out. And I think there's some right there, but other than that, I mean, it's got back to the look that I had. Just a stronger bar, being 5/8 instead of 1/2 inch. It's got the smoother curves. Thank you, Paul Yaffe. Got these all kind of dialed in now. Just got the little point. I got to do a little bit of shaping. Gaps are still really nice. Tips end right at where the fender's at. Both sides. Deep, deep. So not too much stuff sticking out. Of course, that's sticking out, but there it is. My bike is looking like it used to. I decided I'm not going to put the rear wheel in because I'm going to go ahead and take this bar off, and I'm going to do the, come on, say it with me. Doublers. Going to do the doublers. I do have a brand new tire. It's like 10 years old, but it's a brand new one. I probably won't run it, but I'm probably going to go ahead and swap this tire out for the new one because I forgot this one's pretty worn out. So I want to put the thicker, bigger one on there. I'm sure everything's going to be all screwed up, but if I move anything, it'll be the front mount because it'll be a lot easier than messing with this thing, trust me. So I'll get the doublers welded in. We'll get the new tire on, get that all mounted. Once that's all mounted, the ass end of the bike is done, and I'm happy with it. It looks so much better. This is a lot more exaggerated than the last one was, but it's so much cleaner because after the powder coat was done, look at all of the holes and stuff in there. But yeah, that one, I don't know. Gotta remember, I wasn't really a fabricator back then, but pretty damn close to what it was, right? I'm happy with it. This little project I thought was gonna go by fast, and it didn't. It got me really frustrated. Said a lot of curse words, but it's done. Fender is mounted. Jeez Louise, that Fender's not going anywhere. So yeah, I appreciate you guys staying around. Sorry I skipped a few steps. Under the weather. I guess that's no excuse, but it happens. Gotta hate the vid, right? Yeah. Appreciate y'all hanging out with me and watching this. Again, I'm sorry I didn't go through every little step. It's just sometimes when you get frustrated, like you don't want to push record and record that because then I have to watch it all again and edit it. So it's just a pain in the butt. So anyways, again, Adam Garley from Garley's Garage, and I'm out. Peace.